Yeah. So, what is the big opportunity for creators? You said you also listen to the podcast with Reed Ducksher, the founder of Night Media. What do you think is the opportunity for, let's say, a starting YouTuber? What have you already seen happening in the industry?
I mean, a lot of things. At the end of the day, like to go back to the basics, I was saying the startups and creators are the two kids of internet. When I mean two kids of internet, is that internet basically, like created this world that I call the post-permission world, the world where you don't need to ask permission. Like all the leverage that you could have access to was permission. You needed to ask for someone's permission to access that leverage, whether it's people leverage, you needed the banks to give you money to hire people, whether it's technology leverage, you needed banks to give you money to actually build a factory, et cetera, et cetera. But now the most amazing leverage that internet created, which are code and media, are permissionless. Essentially, you can take a MacBook, use the internet to learn how to use tools, and then you're able as an individual to scale yourself infinitely. The first big sort of like phenomenon that is the direct, sort of like the direct result of that is the startup world. Like you have engineers writing code with just like a laptop, and basically next thing you know, they're building billion-dollar empires. We've theorized that because it's been already 20 years that this phenomenon has started. And right now, the same phenomenon is arising at the individual level, with the creators not leveraging code, but leveraging media, which like code has zero marginal scope for production, which creates like this amazing effect. Right now, what's essentially happening is that we are still thinking about the creators as only like people creating views online with YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, etc. Yeah. But more like increasingly, those creators now have access to an infinite number of tools built by startup founders. Yeah. We call that the creator economy. Yeah. To actually scale themselves beyond just the views that they created online, to then build like super lean organizations, but that has an incredible leverage. And that's why, like, for me, like just the millions of subscribers that, MrBeast has, etc., is something to celebrate, but it's just the beginning of the story. Yeah. Then all of those creators, and that's something that, is an infinite discussion topic. All of those creators have access to tools, services, and even more importantly, now they have access to scalable team as a service. So their organization can stay super lean, like the MrBeast media organization is not so big, but they have access to team as a service on the merch, on the game development, on the video syndication, like what we do at Jelly Smack, on the educational platform, that are basically scaling the organization, multiplying the revenue by 10, 20, maybe sometimes 100x, without the organization of a creator being big, which is something that is really new in terms of organizational structure of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so let's give a few examples then for our listeners. I mean, we work with lots of people who are in online education, right? So maybe there we can think about software like Teachable, for example, right? Kajabi, like platforms where you can upload courses. You don't need to hire any developers anymore who develop the entire platforms for you. There are existing platforms out there that you can now just pay for a relatively low fee every month, and you can scale your business. Well, potentially, you can make quite easily 10 times more with selling online courses than just your AdSense revenue. So that's one example. I listened to your podcast. You did an interview with the CEO of Teespring, right? They do merchandise. They work with like over 400,000 creators. So whereas first as a creator you had to go out and design your own merchandise, I guess, now you can just go there and they have a platform. They have in-house people that can help you with the designs. They can, I guess, you also do the distribution. Can you give a few more examples of companies that creators can work with in order to scale their business?
So and I will absolutely give some examples, but what you were saying, like with Teachable and all of those things, is sort of like the V1, where startup founders are thinking about creators as sort of like SMBs, and they're like, oh, SMBs need new SaaS solutions so they can like digitalize their processes, and so they're like, oh, let's build this for creators. This is absolutely needed, and there's a lot of space for a lot of those SaaS tools. But what I was mentioning is that right now we're going towards like the V2, where those startups have understood intuitively that one, the creator world is absolutely unfair. And so you have like a super small number of creators which are going to go super big, and they're going to go big in 6 months to a year. And so we cannot just like build SaaS for them, wait for them to grow, and then like build enterprise-like features for them because they go big in 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So those companies on the V2 are increasingly trying to cater for the fat tail of creators. They're like, you know what, we're not going to do a SaaS play where like the creator are using this thing. One, because, you know, again, they can become big fast, but also because they just don't have time. Like their big bottleneck is scaling themselves as like, you know, the time bottleneck, but also like they don't want to hire a team. They're not yet massively educated as to become like
a CEO.
Company, like a CEO, exactly. And so the V2 is what Spring is going towards, and other companies are going towards, is basically a tech-enabled service. Not like a self-serve SaaS solution that creators can just drag and drop and do everything, but basically a SaaS, like a tech-enabled agency almost that scales beyond the agency, which is going to build technology for their own usage, right? And which is going to hire account manager enabled by those solutions in order to be able to cater for the creators' need. And really concretely, what does that mean?
Yeah,
it means that the best future merch empires are not necessarily going to be only like a SaaS solution that any creator can use, but also like the extension of a team, of a merch team for the creators, where creators are not going to use like, but they're going to call the account manager and be like, okay, I want this, that, and boom, the account manager behind the scenes is going to be enabled by tech to do like a way better job, and also to be way more scalable. And so the cost structure can stay leaner than like an agency model, and the scale, the ultimate scale level can be bigger. Examples that you have like that are Pietra, which is basically like a commerce infrastructure, like as a service for creators. Think about like, how to sell like candles, like branded candles for creators, or other types of product or physical products. They're going to basically go on the creator dashboard, look at the insights, understand what type of people are listening or watching the content, what money that they have, what usually they spend, what they want. They're going to just propose a few different products almost automatically, right? Like the human element is negligible on this. Then help the creator launch. They're going to take care of the production, of the fulfillment, of the support, of the shipping, etc. And basically will act as, you know, a product team.
Yeah, e-commerce team for the creator.
Even more than e-commerce team. It's like the whole process, you know, from like understanding the analytics to support. They're going to invent, like an agency would, they're going to invent a new product class for a creator, but they're going to use technology in terms of like understanding the data, making sense of the data. Later on, next thing you know, they can do like a performance marketing sort of like service where they're not going to like help the creator, you know, invent the product, but also like market the product to its own audience and to some adjacent audience, because they are going to understand lookalike audiences, et cetera, et cetera. So it's everything that happened in the next 20 years, and it's like the absolute embodiment of that is CapEx moving to OpEx. We don't have CapEx. You don't buy servers. You rent on AWS. You don't, you know, start building like a text infrastructure. You rent your text infrastructure on Twilio.com, et cetera, et cetera. But now on the creator world, it goes so fast and so like intensively that now even the people are moving from CapEx to OpEx, because you don't hire an e-commerce manager. You don't hire a growth manager. You rent a growth manager, a tech-enabled growth manager in those teams. So Pietra for merge, Jelly Smack for syndication and putting your content on all the other platforms without you having experts on Facebook, experts on Snapchat, experts on TikTok, internally as a creator, but just having access to JSmack. And we are the best for you to do that, et cetera, et cetera. So that's, for me, the biggest transformation in the creator world, is that the creators are like focusing on content, on understanding that, and basically they can scale an empire beyond that with those new companies catered for their needs.
Yeah, so the idea there is that the YouTubers or the creators do what they are best at, which is creating content, generating traffic, and then the other parties help them with, well, the rest, basically, from analyzing who the demographics are, what products that the market or their audience wants, to creating the products, the distribution, the marketing. Is that the V2 that you're talking about?
Absolutely, and the V2 being absolutely glorious, because we're not talking about a world of agencies. We're talking about a world of small, scalable empires that are really like organizing themselves on the funnel of the creator, or like of the life cycle of the creator.
All right, thanks for listening to this episode. And if you like this episode, then please give it a positive rating in whatever podcast app that you're using. And if you want to listen to other interviews or just learn more about what we do, then make sure to go to our website, creatorsmart.com. See you on the next episode. Ciao.